Hey, you want me to tell you the kiss of death? I don't know if you ever had this problem or not. It's just funny. It's so relative. All right. So in marine detailing, especially this time of year, you'll have a customer that comes in, right? Or that calls in. Or usually they come in, they bring the boat and they drop it off and they say, I'm not in a rush. I'm in no hurry. Dude, get to it when you can.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, tell that customer to stay hooked to that boat and take it home with him, because that customer will worry the horns off of a billy goat, son. Like, that is the kiss of death.
I have not heard that one before. What? Hurry the horns?
Man.
Is that his new?
I don't even know if that's real. I don't even know if that's a saying, dude. Are there horns? There are horns on billy goats, aren't there, Ethan?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, see there, yeah. I mean, don't worry the horns off. Words off of a bullfrog. I don't know. I'm an Alabama boy, man. You know, like, but seriously, if the customer tells you no hurry, no rush, take your time, for the love of God, do that job first.
Let them leave until we get it. When do you want it by? I gotta have something. You know what I mean? I gotta have something to go off of.
That's expectations.
Yep, you got it parked outside. You're like, I'm gonna get to it when I get to it. But then
that never comes.
You know, and that it just doesn't go well.
That time never comes, and that customer will call you 1,000 times. That's so funny. You know, so look, so we've communicated well through the process. We've got them checked in. We've talked to them about the scratch that wouldn't come out. We get them there and something just ain't right. Something just ain't right. Customer's mad. Nick, what are you doing at the pickup part where maybe there's an issue?
Yeah, that's where you're gonna be a listener. You're gonna make sure that you get everything out. Let them get everything that they got to get out, and understanding that customer and that vehicle and that service you did, and how that's going to reflect on your business, right? At some point you got to stand up for the service you did. If you just went and did a one-step polish and got 75%, 80% of the swirls out, that car looks great. The value is there. You know the service you did, and the customer, for whatever reason, just hates it. There's no turning back. You're going to listen. You're going to make sure. You're going to try and make it right. But at some point, you make sure that you still have, that respect, and you stand up for your business, and your employee. You make sure there's no disrespect there. You know what I mean?
Right.
At some point, I am one that stand up for what we do, and and we know our level of service. You know what I mean? Our customers know our level of service.
And that comes with experience. That comes with experience and time and learning how, because I remember when I first started, I mean, we get railroaded by customers. You just didn't know. You didn't know what you didn't know. And you just thought that everything, that the customer said was you were wrong and they were right. And I know the saying goes, customer's always right. Yeah. And I believe that to some extent, but sometimes not. You hit something on, you said something that cued me up. So being a great listener, that's spot on. So it's not a time for you to open your mouth and make a bunch of excuses. Yep. It's a time for you to listen and keep listening and let them talk. And then at the end of that kind of conversation, say, what can we do to get this resolved? Like, what did you foresee this? Well, I expected this, and this. Now, if those expectations are just completely misaligned with what you guys discussed from the start, then that's a conversation that says, okay, here's what we discussed, and here's where, we needed to be to do this. Now, if it's close, my conversation, this is a big one for me, and I call it eating the shit sandwich. Yeah. If it's close and it's questionable, okay, like or an obvious miss, like you're supposed to vacuum the trunk and you didn't vacuum the trunk, okay, that's an obvious miss. Or if it's like, guys, I just was expecting a little more on the engine bay. I mean, the hood's got a little.
I wish they would be as nice as you are now, right?
Nah, they're never this nice, dude. They're never
just a little bit better on the engine bay. Right?
No, it's like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You stupid. No. But eat the shit sandwich, right? Do the thing that you need to do. If it takes you 10 or 15 or 20 minutes to fix whatever it is they're kind of about, go ahead and do that, because that is so much cheaper than them running. And this is how customers work, right? Unhappy customers scream from the mountaintops how bad you suck, and good ones may whisper it to a friend. Okay. So that's how that works. So what is an extra 20 minutes on a, vacuuming out between the seats one more time, or, running over a scratch that they thought you could get a little bit more, but blah, blah, blah. Okay. Spend an extra 20 minutes, make that customer happy, go that extra step, and then build that foundation on solid customers. Because if you do that, I promise you that customer is coming back, and he or she, they're going to be happy and excited to do business with you, because they know you're going to make it right.
The one thing is, I think it's really interesting, as like you said, laying that foundation with those customers when you're just starting out, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying how getting railroaded by customers, and that can happen in the beginning, because you're like, man, I got
it happens.
3 reviews online, and I've just started, and this guy's super unhappy. Yeah, you're gonna have to eat that sandwich a little bit more than you want to in the beginning. I think that's just the brutal truth.
You do, and the thing about it is, those customers weed themselves out over time. So usually your price weeds that out, by the way. If you let your price, I think we've discussed this before, if you let your price dictate your customers, not your customers dictate your pricing, that in itself solves the shit sandwich problem mostly.
I think we got a question here, guys.
All right, drop it in there. All right, Tyler Gillespie, what do you do when a customer gets confrontational with an employee? That's a great question. That is a great question. I actually had that happen.
Really?
So Trey Pitts, our new shop manager. He's been here about 6 months now. He is excellent, by the way. I mean, he's a big guy, dude. This guy's like, he's stout. But a customer came to pick up a boat, and the customer gets up in the boat, goes around the boat with Trey, loving the outside, hops up in the boat, and he opens the head. And I think I even mentioned this before. We had piled some of the stuff, out of the compartments and in the head, and it didn't go there. But 2 detailers didn't know what the other ones had done, so they did it. They put it there. It wasn't a big deal. This customer loses his mind, and he gets off that boat, and he's like, "What are you going to do about it?" Trey's like, "Hey, just relax. We're going to take care of it." And he's like, and this dude's cussing. He's dropping F-bomb. He's like, "F you, F this, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Whoa." Trey's like, "Whoa, you're not going to talk to us talk to us like that, basically." And the customer's like, "I'll talk to you however I want. What are you going to do about it?" And I'm like, I wasn't there. Thank God I wasn't there for that moment.
Yeah.
But so my manager just walked off. He's like, I can't right now. So like confrontational, right? We still have to make it right to the customer. So we have, one of our other detailers, Tab, one of our very experienced detailers, Tabitha, she goes up to the customer and she says, "Hey, look, we'll take care of it. We're going to make this thing right, blah, blah, blah." And they get the customer kind of diffused, and he leaves. Well, I hear this story, and I'm like, hell no. This dude ain't trying to fight our people around here. So I had to call him up. Him, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, what's happening?" And he starts apologizing immediately. He's like, "Man, I had this bad day." He said, I wasn't prepared to pick up the boat, but I had to come get it during my lunch. Then I had a flat tire, get there, and his jack wouldn't pick his boat. It wasn't nothing that we did, but his jack wasn't picking his boat up high enough. And this is a known issue that he has, but it's like a thing. And dude, it just like a time bomb that just went off in our hands. But and said, "Look, man, we try our best to make you guys happy and do the right thing." I said, so just next time you're in here, please pull my shop manager to the side and just talk with him and apologize, because he was pretty upset about the way that went down, and nobody needs to be talked to like that. So we defended our shop, we defended our people, of course, but we had to hear it out. We got to really hear the whole story.
Yeah. Now the one thing is having that open communication with the employees, right? The shop manager, the manager, wherever that incident happens, I think is really important, because for me, I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm going to make sure my guys are there and excited to work. And if I'm taking the side of the customer there, you know what I mean?
You can't. Yeah.
So if there's ever a disrespect and they're like, "Man, he crossed the line," right? Communicating, like you said, with the customer, but being okay firing a customer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yep. It's something that it's an extreme. It really is. It's an extreme.
It's one-off, Ferry. I mean, it's not an off thing that happens often, obviously.
But you know what? You could be a new detailer, and that might be the 3rd customer you get.
Yeah.
Where you just hired someone and they like dealing with you, right? Yep. And now they're dealing with someone else and they're disrespectful. Well, guess what? You're going to get on the phone and say, "Hey, we really appreciate," give them a full refund, say, "Take your business elsewhere."
Man, that reminds me of a time. Yeah, that definitely reminds me of a time when I first started. I was by myself, and I had this contract for this party bus, and it was $25 to wash the outside and vacuum out the inside. A 16-passenger van, $25.
Man, those $25 used to go a lot farther then. Back in the day.
I wouldn't open the shop door for $25 now. Anyways, no, I'm just joking. But seriously, $25, right? And this lady always complained every time about something, fingerprints on the glass, blah, 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 blah. So finally I called her up. I'm like, "Look, we can't seem to please you. We can't seem to make this work. Like, no matter what we do, how hard we try, it's never good enough. Maybe we're not the detailer for you.
Yep.
And she starts backpedaling. No. We love the service. There's just, this or that. And I said, no. You don't understand. You don't understand. I've got a couple suggestions I'm going to give you to go detail because I'm not doing it no more.
Really good. You know what I mean? They'll do a really good job. I'll pay for you to go that way.
Yeah, they do great work. I'm going to just send you your information.
But when you're there, right, and having to do that face-to-face with a customer, I think that's just something it's good to think about. It's something to plan for. It's something to sort of try to get mentally prepared for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know when it's going to happen, but firing a customer is part of business in a way. When where's that line in the sand? You know what I mean? What will you tolerate? With the customer.
What's the respect and disrespect? You can't let it cross that line. Here's the thing, though. It should never escalate. You don't want these things to snowball on you and then really get into it like a fight with the customer. Like, you got to be the level head. You got to be the one that says, hey, obviously we're not going to come to terms with this. But I mean, you've got to stay level headed about it. You've got to stay nice, cordial. It's really hard to be mad at somebody that's smiling. So if you don't get mad, it's hard for them to stay mad, And so that's really what what we practice here. We call it the Chick-fil-A effect.
What do you recommend for those young detailers? When they don't have that experience, right? You get someone's mad at you, they're yelling, you want to yell back, right?
Yeah,
what do you recommend for them?
What do you plan on doing this tomorrow and the next day and the next week and the next month and next year? If you continue, if you want to do this, then you're going to have to, you can't fight this customer. You can't, right. So, but you want to be in business next week, next month, next year. So you can't just go at it like it's a buddy of yours or some dude in high school. You've really got to take it. You're the business now. Okay. You got to listen to it, and you can, hey, listen, we're going to tone this thing down because we're not going this way. But you can't be confrontational. You can, you look, at the end of the day, refund, here's your money back. Now you haven't taken anything. Here's a refund, and can the customer.
Mm-hmm. And the great part of this is, whether it's detailing or any business, there's so many young entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? I'm talking, people are washing cars at 15, 16 years old. And, that maturity, it's really a good topic. I love this topic this week because it's just something that if you just think about it right now at 15, 16, you know what I mean? And you might not be exposed to it right away, but it's just going to set you up for success. And I think that's what the show.
It is. And here's the problem. Usually when you're new to detailing, you're the cheapest guy around. And these customers are brutal. They don't want to pay any money. They don't get their cars detailed that often. They expect the world for pennies, and they're going to hold you. And then what's bad as a new detailer is you don't really know what expectations you should be setting.
Yeah, you haven't sort of got your baseline for your own work. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
But setting it, listen, it's got to be reasonable. You got to keep it within reason, understand, listen to that customer, just like you said. All right, now that's in person.
Yeah.
What do you think about when they leave, right? They leave happy. I've had this happen. I know you have too. They've left happy, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that good stuff. 2 weeks later, I get an alert, 1-star review. They got compound in my cracks. They got blah, 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 whatever. Okay. What are you doing on that?
It's 2023. Everything's online now. You know what I mean? That's where it is. There's no more, I don't know how much paper advertisement you do, or, you know what I mean? Everything is online, Google. And the biggest thing is sort of, for me at least, is whenever there's a bad review, it's just understanding what can I take this as constructive feedback and what's just an upset customer. Really trying to understand what happened and making it better. There's nothing you can do about it afterwards. It's understand it, read it, and move on. You know what I mean? That's at least how I handle it. How do you?
You know what I see? I see it as an opportunity to show our future customers how we're going to respond to an issue. And so our response right then to that review is in public. We don't hide behind it. Hey, we'll give you a call. No. Now, so if we call first of all, we call the customer before we respond to the review. We call the customer. If we get them on the phone, we solve the issue, and then we go under there and we respond how we resolve the issues. If they don't answer, then we respond to that review. By the way, we've only had a couple of them, so I don't want you to think like that we've been inundated with bad reviews, and I'm a professional bad review writer. But we we go on there and we state that, hey, we tried to give you a call. We want to make this right to you. We understand that you're not happy, and and we want to make this right. Please get back in touch with us, and I'll sign myself as the owner, Dustin Jackson, with my personal cell phone. Yeah. That's how committed we are to that customer service. But I'm going to tell you another thing, Nick. Google reviews. If you have a 5-star review, all right. So there was a poll that was done that said 4.6 and 4.7 stars was the best review rating you could have, not 5-star. Do you know why?
Why? No,
5 stars. Look
today. Let me get my notebook out.
Yeah, write it down. 5 stars. Look, 5-star reviews. If you have 50 or 100 or any substantial number of reviews, if you have a 5-star, they look fake. People they don't give it credit. And then also they say that some people go look to the bad reviews before they look to the good reviews. They want to see what happened.
Yep.
So,
I think that's a great way.
So a 4.6 or a 4.7 isn't bad. You get the bad review. It's not bad. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to show your customers how you're going to handle them if they're not satisfied.
I think that's a great way to put it, Dustin, honestly. And it's funny because I was looking at restaurants in San Antonio, you know what I mean? And I always try and find, you're only there for one day. You're going to try and you're in town, you're trying to find a detail center or a restaurant, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And how do you do that, right? You try and put yourself in the customer's face of a new customer, of how they're searching. And those responses, I think, are something that, people would definitely notice. I think that's a great response to them.
Yep. Yeah. And look, they're no fun. I don't want it to make it sound like it's a cakewalk. When it happens, it's a gut punch. Like I said, we've only had a few over our years, like a handful between Facebook and Google, and it's never fun. It's always a gut punch, always. But it is an opportunity, and you get a couple weeks or a month under your belt of happy customers. You done forgot about that, and you've moved on. And so it's not the end of the world, like it feels.